and I was with this guy, and I'm like, well, where'd they fly you in from? He's like, what are you talking about? I drove over. And so apparently I didn't know that there was a corporate office in Vegas. But I mean, like, for example, this morning, I just had a kid say, kid from Oklahoma, and I probably can't say his name, but he did sign. He just signed at Oklahoma State. So
wow.
We are dealing, not every kid is obviously at that level,
Right.
but we do have those kids. We actually, last year, we had a 4-time Louisiana state champ that went to Oklahoma State, 125-pounder, and we all know how those work in college. Everybody needs a 25, and he actually went to church with John Smith on his visit.
There it is. I mean, I hear that more often these days, and I'm grateful for that. All right, Drew. So there is a lot of different components to recruiting and successful recruiting adventure, and some of it lies on the athlete. But I'm amazed at how much of it is actually the responsibility of the parent. Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah, I think the parents get more involved now than ever, and with the Zoom calls because of, because of the pandemic, coaches want to meet the parents. They're a big part of the recruiting situation because they want supportive parents, college coaches. They want parents that demand a lot out of their kids, but also hold them accountable, but know when to give them some love too.
There it is.
So it's like the fine line. But I mean, college coaches, at least in wrestling, I don't want to or need to speak to other sports, but I know Rob Cole, for example, like when he does a home visit, and I know firsthand knowledge, like if the dad's like overbearing or whatever, like he'll put him in his place, like respectfully, but like just be like, if this is going to be our relationship, we're not going to have a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So
you have, you've seen most of it. Sure, there's some folks out there that are older and have been in the sport longer than you and I. But, if you think about what the NCSA does, it provides it's like a toolbox of, I think, especially today's modern day athletes must utilize everything that's that's available in order to be, to find the best home. And that's what we're looking for, homes, right? Okay.
Yeah, you have a platform with us, and it's a really elaborate platform because a lot of people have tried to do recruiting services, and many have worked out, and some have not. But our platform is pretty extensive.
Yep.
Like you obviously have your videos, but you just keep adding the videos. Your transcripts are right there. It's a one-stop shop, and
Yep.
I'll be honest, like when I was at Northwestern, I didn't always use recruiting services because I was a little cocky, and I was like, if I know the guy's good, I know he's good. Like I'll find him. But what I've found is that kind of my relationship with college coaches, the parents are very happy with that because I can talk to a D1 coach, or I can talk to a D3 coach. Gosh, Kerry Regner at Millersville, I think we talk once a week.
Wow.
He's a D2 coach, and they're short talks, but like we're just giving each other updates, and then. He's been designing a lot of, we'll call them combines during the pandemic here. He has one coming up this weekend at M2 training facility, so David Taylor's, and then he has one December 5th up in Troy because he's giving these kids out here in the Northeast an opportunity because we don't know if there's going to be a wrestling season in the state of New York. And New Jersey, this is kind of cool. At first, they canceled the state tournament, but now they're saying, we might have it outside in May, which would be, can you imagine the state wrestling tournament in Jersey on the beach in Atlantic City?
No. By the way,
but it would be hilarious.
Find Drew online, ncsasports.org. If you are an athlete, if you're a coach, if you're a parent, there are over 35,000 college coaches that are employing the services of this organization. And I think it's not just the largest, it's the best recruiting network out there. And I want you to be a part of it. Drew Periano will give you an opportunity to talk to some coaches or even consider coaches and programs that would be a great fit for your student athlete. And that's what we're talking about, the next college student athlete, okay? It's not just always about the financial aspect. Sure, there's not a parent out there who wouldn't like their kid to go to school, totally cost-free. But it's not always, that's not always easily accomplished. If you take a look at a school like Northwestern or Harvard or Princeton, where the cost of going to school there is so very high, you've got to have some relief at some point, especially if you're going to be competing athletically. Drew, we're up against the clock. We'll do it again where we have more time, okay?
I'll just tell you one thing. So
30 seconds.
Obviously, we lost a couple programs here, but we have 397 men's programs, and we're up to 91 programs in women's wrestling, which is still growing during the pandemic.
Huge.
So we have access to everybody, and we'll hook you up with any school you want to, within reason, obviously. But
10 seconds.
we have access to every single school.
And
so
we've got
I appreciate you having me on,
access to you.
Well, yeah. I mean, if they really want to talk to me,
We love you, brother. We're up against the clock. We'll let you go. NCSA's head recruiter, Drew Periano, has been our guest. This portion of the show brought to you by our friends at Wild Rose Casino and Defense Soap and the Newsmaker Hotline. Stay tuned. Hour number 2's coming up next.
KRNT Des Moines. A Des Moines Radio Group station and home of ESPN Radio. This is 1350 ESPN. Simulcasting on 102.1 FM. Des Moines sports leader.
All right, welcome back to the show. USA Takedown. Bishop at the helm of the mothership, as it were, putting us on the air. Danny, good
Trying
morning.
to keep the train on the tracks.
Yeah, we do a couple shows on Fridays. I always look forward to them because I get to deal with a professional that understands.
I hope you're using the term loosely.
Well, very. Remember, it's the pot calling the kettle. So I will tell you this, that he actually cares and is thinking way outside the box. And it's just so crazy that most people will stop because that's what's easiest. Danny doesn't look at it that way. No. He's always trying to, like, for example, today he's streaming us live on, what is that, YouTube?
YouTube, yeah.
YouTube.
Yeah.
And he didn't just throw an image up there. No, he created a presentation box to make it look nice, and a very identifiable screen. It's easy to look at, and you get to look at me, and I'm sorry about that.
And this is just a proof of concept. Yeah. It's really not published out. No. Some people are sharing the screen.
And we appreciate you sharing.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. Congratulations to Jack Gockel. He has committed to Iowa State, and Kevin Dresser, that's where he's going to be attending college, and he had a bunch of schools to choose from. I will tell you this, as a kid, I watched this fifth grader, practicing with senior level athletes, and he was giving as much as anybody in that room and never having to be asked twice to do anything. He was volunteering right out of the box. Dude is good. He will make waves in the NCAA. Mark my words. Okay? All right, due up this hour, the General Ramiko Blackman is going to be joining us. Oklahoma's head coach, Lou Rosselli, is going to be joining us. But we start the hour talking a little Greco with my old friend Matt the Law Lindland. And he joins us now, does the Greco coach himself, the legend, Matt Lindland. Matt, how are you?
Thank you. I'm doing great. Good to be on with you, buddy.
We've had you look at these shows that we put together, and it's always cool when there are legends on, because it is those guys, men and women, that have been there, done that, and you literally are one of those guys. You've always been one that will stand up for what's right, and not be afraid at the repercussions. You've been able to, I think, lead the way in many regards, and you're doing the same thing with Greco. Tell us a little bit about USA Greco, the team, its makeup right now, and its look for the future, even through the pandemic and all that. What we're all experiencing. But talk to us about the condition of Team USA Greco.
Well, it's been difficult with the COVID restrictions. We came out of our qualifier back in March, and we had a really great tournament up in Ottawa, Canada, and got 4 of our athletes qualified. We still need 2 weight categories, 77 and 130, which are a couple of our stronger weight classes. In our 77, we've had junior world champions out of there. And 130, we've got multi-time age group world medalist and cadet world champion Colton Schultz. We've also got senior world silver medalist Adam Kuhn, who's one of our top dogs there. So, we're strong at those 2 weights that we still need to get qualified. But at the same time, we've got to get our guys training. We got to get them back on the mat. And I've got some really great volunteer coaches that over the summer, when the national staff was restricted from travel, some of our volunteer coaches really stepped up. I got to give a shout out to Coach Herb House, who's our Olympic coach for 2021 now. It's so weird saying 2021 Olympic.
Right.
It's every 4 years. But Herb did a great job of putting camps together, and we worked together. But he was out there traveling with the guys, multiple locations. We went to Utah, we went to Illinois, went to Omaha, Nebraska, and we have a camp coming up very shortly. We're going to be traveling out to 2 different locations due to this pandemic restriction. So we can have 30 athletes at each location. We're going to go back to Omaha, where Zach Dominguez has a great club out there and has helped us get on the mats, get us training. And we're also going to go to Legends of Gold out in South Dakota. So we're going to split our weights up and hold 2 separate camps simultaneously in multiple locations. And then we will, cut the guys loose till the first of the year. And right now we are very optimistic that we can get our teams over to Europe, but we are still planning as if we can't as well. So making contingency plans for getting our guys trained and prepared. We would really like to get them overseas for the Melicone tournament in Rome. We'll see what's going to happen, Scott. It's been a strange year.
This is the time when we'd normally be seeing developmental camps, and then your job really kicks into high gear, and that is the valuation. You get a firsthand look at these athletes and see how they're improving, what they need to improve on. Who are some of the names? Who are some of the guys that we should be keeping an eye on in terms of Greco?
Well, I mentioned a few of our upper weights, Kuhn, Schultz, Adam Kuhn, Colton Schultz. We got a really fantastic 97 kilo in Giangelo Hancock.
Love that guy.
We're strong at 87. That weight got qualified back in March by Joe Rao up at the Pan American qualification. Ben Provisor looks to be moving down to 77 to try to make his 3rd Olympic team. But we're strong with Rao and Patrick Martinez, and hopefully Alan Vera gets his citizenship. We saw him compete over the weekend against Hancock. Gave up quite a bit of weight in that match. He had a big 97 kilo and a smaller 87 kilo athletes going at it. But 77 is still real strong with guys like Peyton Walsh and Pat Smith, and with Provisor moving down. I think that's it's going to be a really strong weight. And you got, guys, world team members like John Stepanowicz that's moving down. And we just saw Kendrick Sanders, win the tournament out there in Iowa. And that's his 3rd U.S. Open championship.
Crazy.
We've got a lot of talented guys. And now it's just a matter of, can we get them the right competition, the right training to get these guys prepared? And you go down the weight class. You got guys like Ellis Coleman, who's super strong, but, Ray Bunker moving down from 72 kilos as well. So strong weight. And then you had Alex Sancho, who qualified the weight class for us, who will be sitting out into the trials. That was one of our qualifications. If you'd gotten the weight qualified, and those opportunities were at the 2019 Worlds in Kazakhstan, if you got wrestled for a medal, you were qualified, or if you went and did it at the Pan American qualifiers. So we give those guys what we call a leg up in the trials. They earned that opportunity. It's not something that was given to them. It was something they earned. And then we're super deep at 60 kilo. I mean, you got guys like Ryan Mango moving down, and Ildar Hafizov there, and Fufinger, and Taylor Lamont. So I mean, we're very strong in those lower weights. Got a lot of depth down there, and we got those weight categories already qualified. So now it's just a matter of selecting our team out in State College in April, and getting those guys prepared to go win their medals at the Olympic Games in Tokyo.
Matt Lindland, our guest, he is the Law USA Greco head coach. And Matt, you say selecting a team, okay?
Yes.
It is an honor to represent the United States on the mat anywhere in the world. But to be selected means it is the respect of the coaching staff and the selection committee that, that is a recognition of a job well done, and it's really just beginning once that athlete or athletes have been selected, right?
Sure. No matter what, I mean, we in the United States, we actually have a process through which is through the Ted Stevens Act, which is a congressional act put in that says you got to have a fair and trials that everybody is aware of how to make that team, and we've laid that out way early, and guys that have already qualified for that final Olympic trials in State College in April are going to be there and be contesting those weights. Unlike other nations where they may just select a guy, we call it selection, but it's they earn the spot.
There
honestly,
it is.
Scott, they earn that spot to represent the United States, and it is quite an honor to be able to represent the best country in the entire world and have that opportunity to go out there and wear USA on your singlet and compete at the biggest event in the sporting world.
By the way, our sponsor of this particular segment, our friends at Barbarian Athletic, Joshua and his wife did an outstanding job of putting together a great company, but just recently finished the new gym, and it is outstanding. But it's gyms like that our athletes will be competing in and working and training in, working at and training in. And, we see so many athletes that want to do a gym of their own, like David Taylor, for example. But not everybody has the business acumen. You've been there. You've had a gym, Team Quest, if you recall. For you listeners out there, I know, Matt, you recall it. But the idea is that it's a place that you can go and hang out because it's yours, but it's also a place where work happens. And then there's the other side of it, and that's the running of a business. Well, Team USA Greco or Freestyle is no different. It is a business. Make no mistake about it. It's a corporation. This is so very important for you to understand that there's fundraising that goes into this, and then there's also it's an honor to represent the United States. I get that, but it is important to know that there is a business side of it. Matt, how involved in the business side are you as the head coach, or does it really start with you?
Well, I manage the budgets for our program, and certainly am involved in parts of the fundraising efforts. We have full-time fundraisers at the organization USA Wrestling. We have a development department that goes out and specifically does that, but it's all about relationships, Scott. That,
Mm-hmm.
Getting people that you've been engaged with, maybe guys that have helped me in the past get to the podium in Sydney, and guys that, I am speaking of, people that help. I mean, we are a volunteer-run organization as a nonprofit, and we rely a lot on volunteer help. I remember Jack Stark, who's a world-renowned sports psychologist, was the first guy that reached out when he saw the article that I'd gotten this job back in 2014, and was, any way I can help you, let me know. And he's already been connecting himself with athletes that are going to go up to Omaha, and that's where Jack lives. And so he'll be working individually with those guys, which everything helps, and our volunteer coaches going up there. But yeah, running the business part of whether it's an organization like USA Wrestling, which is a big organization that brings in a lot of money. But right now we're not selling a ton of USA Wrestling membership cards. And I know there's a lot of people that listen to this show and are wrestling supporters. So I just want to encourage everyone out there, if you have not purchased your 2021 USA Wrestling membership, get that. Get your leader card. Get your athlete card if you're a competitor, or we call them leaders cards, which is essentially our coaches and our administration and our officials. So if you haven't got that, go to themat.com and purchase those, because that every bit of that, is a benefit to the purchaser and the holder of those cards, but it also helps support our teams get overseas and do the things we need to do to prepare our athletes for the Olympic Games. So with this coronavirus and not a ton of events going on, Scott, our numbers have been down, and we really encourage people to go out and sign up, get one of those cards, and get connected with the organization.
Okay. And we made that announcement in hour number one about the memberships on sale. It is important. Everybody across the country in any business is running a shortfall financially, unless you're Amazon, okay?
Yep.
And apparently the COVID cannot be transmitted by anybody at Amazon. So that is, I think.
There's a few other places they can't transmit it, and we don't need to get into that.
I'm joking, of course, about something so serious. You brought up a few athletes, and I kind of want to drill down on Ryan Mango. Ryan Mango has the benefit of a similar body style to his brother, talented, easy to coach, but real likable guy to be around. That's the kind of guy, a coach like you, that would be the embarrassment of riches if you had a guy like Ryan at every weight.
That would be what?
An embarrassment of riches. I mean, to be that lucky to have a guy like Ryan at every weight, that kind of a positive attitude. I think the world of Ryan and his brother too. Hayden Tumas, another real positive guy. Patrick Smith at 77, I like him. Kamal Bay is one of the best stories, I think, in Greco right now, in wrestling overall. I really like Kamal Bay's chances. Kendrick Sanders, another great guy. And you mentioned Stefano. What's his strengths? What's John's strengths?
John is a consummate leader in our program. He is not only one of the athlete reps for on our committees and on our boards. John gets involved in a lot of areas. I'll tell you what, the Marine program has really stepped up. I mean, basically 60% of our team is made up of military athletes, whether that's the Army WCAP program or the Marines, the All-Marine program. And John Stefanowicz is part of that Marine program. And the coach over there, Jason Lukitas, has done an outstanding job of not just developing athletes, but developing leaders through the resources that he has with the United States Marine Corps. And so these guys are Marines first, and they are American athletes second. But what that does for our program is it really gives us some strong leadership, athlete-led leadership, pure leadership. And we sat down a few years back with our program, and we talked about with the athletes, at a camp that I hosted out in my hometown in Oregon, Eagle Creek, Oregon, where Rick Sanders is buried, another legend of the sport. And it's right in my hometown. But we talked about things that we wanted to get better at off the mat. What are areas? And ultimately we came up with we need to have a sense of urgency. And so that means, like, every time you step in the room, you're giving 100% effort, you're having a great attitude, and you're working with your teammates. Communication was another area. And that's something that, we've continued to strengthen even during COVID. We've, used the technology and the Zooms. We get the text going on the WhatsApp. But communication is really important, that we're all on the same page. And then the athletes, I thought this was really a great one that they came up with, was they called it image and professionalism. And that's just, and one of our athletes, one of our leader athletes basically said, when we went through these lists, we're like, what does that mean? And that one to these athletes meant just doing the right thing at the right time. So I thought that was really great. And then they also said holding one another accountable, holding themselves accountable and holding one another accountable. And ultimately just the trust and respect that you build through holding each other accountable, through communication, through having a sense of urgency, and using that image and professionalism, because we are representing, not just ourselves out there, we're representing the entire country and the wrestling community for the United States. So I think these guys know that they are looked up to, and they need to set a great example for the rest of the wrestling community, and they need to be strong representatives from the United States.
And it's an honor just to get to talk to you. I know you're awfully busy, Matt, but I appreciate that, which you, Mayab, and many of the other coaches are going through right now. Most of the coaches at any level, the frustration is real. And hopefully the vaccines will be released. Release the hounds. I hope it's soon.
Yeah, buddy.
It can't be soon enough. I truly believe that. Future looks bright because of the leadership of this guy, our guest, USA Greco head coach Matt "The Law" Lindland. Matthew, it's always good to talk to you. Best to your family and the team. Next time you gather, tell them we are watching.
I will do that for sure, Scott. And always a pleasure to connect with you and talk to your guests.
All right. God bless you, dude. We'll talk soon.
You bet.
There he goes. Matt Lindland. Coming up next, we're going to talk a little Sooner wrestling. Sooners, yeah, the big program down there in Norman. And head coach Lou Rosselli will be our guest next on USA Takedown. Scott Casper with you. Stay tuned. There's more on the other side of the break.
All guests on the USA Takedown appear on the Defense Soap Newsmaker Hotline. Made in the USA with unparalleled quality, and it's guaranteed. Defense Soap. It's what the pros use.
Hi, it's Danny Bishop. Today's economy presents certain challenges, and along with those come opportunities. The potential rewards are for those who are adept at identifying long-term trends. Don Boyd and his team of financial advisors at 5 Talents Financial Management Group can help you navigate today's economy. Whether you're facing retirement or just looking to better understand certain investment ideas, they can help you. 5 Talents Financial Management Group's first priority is your overall financial success. And that's why they learn about your individual situation, identify your dreams and goals, and get a picture of your tolerance for risk. Long-term relationships that encourage open and honest communication are the cornerstone of their foundation of success. FTFMG.com or call 223-7487, 223-7487. 5 Talents Financial Management Group.
The term barbarian was first used in ancient Greece. The athletes were said to be barbarians. Today's modern athletes embrace the hard work when wearing the great gear from Barbarian Apparel. You make the choice. Custom graphics, the best sublimation, colors that pop, and logos that matter. Barbarian provides great service before and after the process. Make the right choice. Choose Barbarian Apparel. BarbarianApparel.com. Oh, I wish I could hear the music. The music, the marching band hitting the field or hitting the mats. You know what I'm saying? It's the Sooners.
Would you cue that up right now?
Would you? Would you please? in my mind, it's playing.
All right.
And in my heart, it's playing as well. I've been guest down there in Norman of the Sooners of Oklahoma. The head coach there is a guy that I long said this, and I may have even said it to his face, but it was this, that Lou Rosselli was the guy, the best head coach in the country that was not a head coach in title. Well, he is now. In 2016, he was hired as the head coach of wrestling at the University of Oklahoma. Good morning, Lou. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good, man. Hey, thank you for taking the time to join us. I can't believe it's been, what, 5 years now almost for you at Oklahoma?
4.5 probably. I got here in August.
Yeah, August
September
30th.
After the Olympics in 16. So this will be the 5th season that we're working on right now, but about 4.5 years.
One of the great jobs in the sport is that of head coach at Oklahoma. Great history, very competitive. and you're literally steeped in history down there at Norman. I want to talk to you a little bit about, Coach, about the recent signees. Okay, it seems like you guys are stacking the deck, which is ultimately the goal, right? But the two big ones that pop into my mind anyway are Piccolo, heading to Norman from Mustang, Oklahoma. What can you tell us about Tate?
Well, Tate's a great pickup. He's in state, trying to keep the people that we can in the state and here at Oklahoma. Great student, great worker, loves wrestling, wants to wrestle and train for the Olympics. He's a perfect, the perfect recruit in my eyes because, he's bright. He loves to wrestle. He wants to wrestle at the next level. So, all those things combined make him a great recruit for OU.
And not just and you talk about keeping him in state. That's huge for fandom too. I mean, a full gym to wrestle in, a full performance center is the ultimate goal. I mean, that's the best when you get to perform in front of what I call a home crowd. But Tate brings with himself the number one ranking in the country. I mean, that says an awful lot about you guys as far as your recruiting ability, but also his respect for the program and the institution. When you are recruiting and talking to the parents and the athlete, how important is their knowledge of your program as you walk into the room? Not when you leave, but as you walk into the room to begin the process.
Well, I think, you said it a little bit earlier, OU's got an incredible tradition. They won 7 national titles. I think we're 3rd or 4th on the list of programs that have won titles, getting it back to where we should be in the top 5, each year in and year out. Tate Piccolo is one of the guys that, you keep getting guys like Tate that love wrestling, that want to wrestle at the next level, and it can be really exciting, So it's always important, talking about our tradition and people that have been here in the past, the Hodge Award, Danny Hodge and,
right.
and Dave Schultz and people like that. We have a lot of tradition, and we just got to let, sometimes people have maybe forgotten it a little bit, but I'm here to remind them. And I think the other part is just, having core values and the things you stand for and what you
right.
want the program to look like. And, so I think all those together made it a good choice for Tate.
He's also a great student. I want to get that across. Yes. A very good student. That makes your job a little easier, of course, because you don't have to motivate him for grades. But he's also one of the most sought-after student-athletes in the country. He's got a great background in Greco as a member of the Greco World Team. How about that? I mean...
he's well-rounded. He's got a little jiu-jitsu. He's got Greco, some freestyle, so, and obviously Scholastic. So he does it all. He's a little bit like Demas. He does all the styles. He just loves wrestling. So, I would bet that if you had Sambo, he'd jump in that too.
Alejandro Herrera Rondon
yes.
from Seneca Valley High School, just north of PA, just on the north side of Pittsburgh, I should say. So talk to us a little bit about this guy. How did he end up signing with the Sooners?
Well, we recruit in Pennsylvania. I mean, we recruit nationally and, obviously we try to go in state. And so, just when we go to the PA state tournament, saw him and, we're not sure what weight he's going to go. But what we do know is he loves wrestling, and we're looking for a certain type of person that can do the work and that loves wrestling and wants to wrestle again at the next level. And Alejandro, he fits that bill. So, I'm not sure what weight he's going to go. But,
well, I project him at 49. How do you see him at 49?
Well, he might be higher than that. He's really tall and skinny, and, he went from 6 to 13 to he's wrestling, I think, 45, 52. So who knows where he's going to really be, But I think getting a kid that loves wrestling is really the most important part. And I think wrestling at the next level is important for me too. The guys that want to wrestle at the Olympic level, always spark my interest.
It seems to me more student athletes in the state of Pennsylvania are leaving Pennsylvania than are staying. And this is another perfect example of that. Joining your program, this is one of the highest rated prospects in the nation. I think he's out. By the way, it's hard to pluck a one-time, let alone a two-time state champ out of Pennsylvania.
Yeah, well, Penn State can't get them all, right?
And
so
he's got
obviously there's a good tradition in Pennsylvania.
Oh, it's a huge tradition. And his record that he brings with him, 136-14. Coach, you talk about how difficult it is to peg a weight, a projected weight for an athlete, because there's a certain amount of growing. This always has me scratching my head. is that you see him, you are identifying him as a kid that wrestled at 132, right? And then you're trying to project him out to see what needs the team has, okay, and who's best to bring in to fill the needs of the team. So there must be some kind of frustration that every coach has when you hire this kid at 132. In other words, you bring him on the team, and then all of a sudden he gets a 6-inch growth spurt, and his reach, everything has changed. And I know you're going, please stay at 132. No, they're gonna grow. You can't stop that. The growth plates, right. And all that. But this is you're in a very, very enviable position. You're seemingly getting anybody and everybody you want. I don't know that that's totally accurate,
well, I don't know if
from outside looking in.
Now, well, what I would say when it comes to the recruiting part, I think that's why you look at the when you know them really well, and you don't know exactly what weight they were going to go. You just try to get as many people on your team that that like to train, and they like that, they value education, and they want to wrestle all summer. And so I think it's some of it is about the core values of someone's program, and then where they fit in, and then obviously, like I said, there are changes, and you just got to keep getting the kids that like that like it enough. And so you got to put them on a scale, see what's really practical for a kid.
Well, yeah,
you can't weigh 160 and still say you're a 25 pounder. It's not possible.
I don't know. I've been lying about my weight for years. All right.
Well, we both have.
Oh no. By the way, those two are going to be joining the team in the fall of 2021. Well, guess what? The Sooners are scheduled to begin competition. How hard is the date, January? Do you think we're going to make January?
Well, the date that's a hard date for most of the conferences, January 1. Do I think that? Well, it just depends on how all these cases, if they start going down. And so, I think it's really not going to be up to me. I just kind of go with the flow. I think that, there are people above me that make those decisions, but we got to plan on as if January 1 things are starting up, and the Nationals are third week in March, and we just got to we got to be flexible right now.
Right.
I think it's very difficult, and and getting schedules and putting them together, and now you'll see that most of the conferences went to a one day, several competitions in one date. But you can't wrestle on a Friday, Sunday. You got to do it all in one. So trying to double up your scheduling, it's a challenge now too. So, but I think January 1 is a hard date. I mean, most people that's when it's supposed to start.
Will the teams that'll be taken to the mat in that? I mean, you and I know that there's a different team for a tournament, and there's different what I call one-on-one date teams. Okay, and will your athletes be more likely in a tournament state of mind when they have to wrestle more than once in a day?
Well, I think it's going to be interesting because you're going to have a lot of tri-meets, I think. But I think if you get 10 to 15 matches in from January to February or January to March, I think you've done a pretty good job. And the mentality is always the same. It prepares if you're, whether you have one match, two matches, or five matches. Your mentality shouldn't change in how you approach the sport and how you warm up, how you cool down, your nutrition, the whole 9 yards, and how you prepare. So, whether we do tries, just a single dual meet, or a tournament, obviously the tournaments are a lot more wear and tear on you.
Yeah, boy.
Than just one match. But I think we have to get ready for that. If we can get a big conference championship off and then get the Nationals, I think it'll be a pretty productive year for us.
Lou Rosselli, our guest, head coach, Oklahoma, and the Mighty Sooners. You returned 5 NCAA qualifiers and has at least, wrestlers ranked in at least 9 different weight classes. This is a good place for you to be, Lou.
Well, from where we started, I think, it's really good. I'm looking forward to seeing I got a couple young people that'll be in the lineup, redshirt freshmen. One just won the U20s at Josh Heinzman at heavyweight, and got a 65-pounder. I'm looking forward to watching him, see where he's at. So we'll see it. It's getting exciting, So, and as we approach recruiting, and we're hoping that we have a season January 1, and making, it's really getting to be a fun time.
Your relationship with the Stieber family goes back a number of years. Wasn't any stretch for me to believe that Hunter would be a valuable asset to you at Oklahoma. Talk to us about the impact he's having for your program.
Well, Hunter, the fact that he's young, I mean, as you get older, you can't, I wish you could wrestle when you're, 50 years old, you can, just takes its toll on you. But what's really nice about Hunter is, he does what we need him to do. He likes to practice. He loves wrestling. Wrestling's the best part of his day. And I think that when you have someone that can wrestle on a regular basis and that loves it and that can understand the sport really well and has good IQ, when it comes to wrestling, it's always valuable.
You look at Stieber's record, and of the two, they're both fun to watch, okay? But Hunter's one of those decorated collegiate guys that has the ability to get along. And, making waves is not necessarily the desire of a coach, but you got to get the attention of the athlete, say, hey, now's the time to put the learning hat on, as it were, and try something new, try something different, if your only goal is to improve and to win championships. But, he is a, honest to God, 2013 Big Ten champion and an outstanding competitor, but I think he's going to be an even better coach. What is your estimation?
Yeah, I think there's always a learning curve. There's a lot of things that happen in a program. If it was just X's and O's, yeah, he'd be right up there. He understands it. But I think there's some other things that go with it, and I think he's willing to learn, and he wants to do this for a long time. So, I know he's capable of picking up and understanding the recruiting process, understanding how that works, and signing, the top kids in the country. There's the development side, which I think he understands, and the recruiting side. Remember, the volunteer doesn't get to do what all the other ones do with calls and the visits. And so I think that there'll be a little bit of learning curve there for him, but I think that he'll do a good job. When he gets to that role, he'll be fine.
Coach, I got to ask you about Jack Creamer out of Virginia. Every team needs a spark plug. Is he your spark plug at 25?
Well, we have a bunch of guys at 25 right now, between Tommy Hoskins and Mason Nafee and Jordan Roselli and Jack Creamer. We have a bunch of guys. I think they all work really hard, and Jack's one of them. I think Jack will be fine down the road. I think he needs more muscles and some things that you got to have to be really good at Division I wrestling. But good kid, works really hard, so we're looking forward to see what he can do.
I'm trying to remember the athlete you had at Ohio State. That
Tomasello?
Yeah. Man, all I had to do is set up the preface, and you knew exactly what I was talking about. Is there a tipping point, Lou, when you can have too much muscle and it becomes it almost works against you because you're almost too stiff? Would you say that's true?
Well, it just depends. It depends how you make weight. And I think you can have the muscles and still have flexibility and still do some of the other things. I mean, Tate Piccolo, has the muscles and he's flexible and, can do the splits. And so it just depends on the individual.
Yeah.
And it depends how you can make weight. If you can't make that weight and you can't burn it down, then maybe it's a new weight, right? So I guess to answer your question, it probably could be.
Yeah.
He's too heavy and too big for that weight class.
That's it.
It can work against you for sure.
I got to ask you about Mitch Moore. Has he lost the mustache yet, or is he still retaining
that's his power right there. You got to keep that. Like Super Mario Brothers, you got to keep that.
He looks just this. I mean, my God. Out of St. Paris, Ohio, that legend continues. The book is still being written at St. Paris Graham. Just an outstanding, what do you call it?
Program. Yeah, they have an outstanding program. They've had it for a long time at St. Paris Graham. They know how to work really hard, and they learn wrestling. Chap's done a good job, making sure they understand the fundamentals and how competitive you have to be. So, they have a really nice program. There's
talk about the strength of the Big 12 versus other conferences. How do you see the Big 12 in terms of national prowess?
Well, I think with the new coaches that we have in the Big 12, I think each program is getting better and better. I would look to see, down the road as we get more and more competitive. It's hard to say, how are we going to compare up to the Big Ten? Obviously, the Big Ten has done an outstanding job over time,
sure,
and you can't deny that part of it. But I think as we move forward, we got coaches that love wrestling. They're competitive. They're going to go out and get the best guys they can get. They're going to work with them, and I think that you're going to see that the Big 12 starting to come on.
Who's this Jordan Roselli? Name rings a bell.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
And
I've actually been in that gym. You know that at Olentangy,
Yeah.
Olentangy Liberty. But
Yes.
I remember him as a little guy,
Yeah.
and he was always fun to watch, but more than anything, fun to be around. Is it hard to coach your a member of your family?
It just depends on what child you're talking about. If no, he's easy. My youngest one, a little bit harder. They some are rule followers, and some, some people don't take constructive criticism very well. My youngest does not. Where my oldest does. He knows I'm trying to help him. And there's nothing malicious. And, there's just ways that you do things, and there's a standard, and that's how it's done. And he can handle it, and my youngest one cannot. Love him, but I let somebody else coach him.
Now, has Jim Ross been hanging out at all? Good old JR?
No, I haven't seen JR in a long time with COVID.
Yeah, and most people are being a little bit fearful, and I think it's a healthy fear right now. We've got to be careful, and as we were talking about earlier in hour number one, we have to be responsible to each other. And I think our college coaches, you included, Lou, are taking this job very seriously because you're dealing with lives, and I respect that more than I could ever really truly express. But I appreciate you taking the time to join us and tell the story. What do you want people to take away from our interview today, specifically about Sooner Wrestling?
Well, I think that, we're on the rise, and, I think we got some good kids in the program already. A lot of them are very young. My first recruiting class was, they're only juniors, but with COVID, they got this year and then probably two more. And I think the kids that we're getting, are people that are wrestleheads that want to wrestle at the next level. And I think, that's one of the things the core values that we stand for, and that, and having our Olympic program are big parts of what we do here.
You bet. Lou, it's always good to talk to you, brother. I appreciate you making time for us. I truly do. And I'm looking forward to seeing you live and in person sometime soon.
All right. Sounds great. Thanks for everything.
You bet. Sooner head coach Lou Rosselli. Hey, coming up, the General will be joining us in the house here on USA Takedown. I'm talking about Ramiko Blackman. Stay tuned. There's more on the other side. USA Takedown.
All USA Takedown guests appear on the Defense Soap Newsmaker Hotline. Made in the USA with unparalleled quality, and it's guaranteed. Defense Soap. It's what the pros use.
Hash browns are always part of my favorite breakfast, and the place to get Des Moines' best breakfast is Mullet's Restaurant. Hi, this is Danny Bishop. Stop by on your bike along Meredith Trail by the confluence of the Raccoon and Des Moines rivers. Sit on their two-level patio, peruse the famous breakfast menu, and you'll understand why Mullet's is the best breakfast restaurant in Des Moines. Mullet's, celebrating all things about the hairstyle that's business in the front and party in the back. Just go to the west end of the Southeast 1st Street Bridge to find Des Moines' best breakfast at Mullet's Restaurant.
The Defense Soap Facts. Dateline, Cleveland, Ohio. For 12 years, he competed. For 17 years, he coached. And for 30 years, he's policed the streets of Cleveland. He saw teams and programs decimated by skin-borne disease, a wrestler's worst nightmare. He didn't like the chemical-based products on the market and knew that there had to be a better way, a better defense. He found religion in the ingredients that make up the basis for Defense Soap: tea tree and eucalyptus oil. Defense Soap, all natural, safe to use. It's available around the world now at defensesoap.com. Calderberg's PBS Landscaping knows what grows best in Iowa because they're from Iowa. Locally owned and operated, Calderberg's is a full-service landscaping and lawn care company. Everything you need from lawn care and landscape design to water features, tree planting, irrigation, and snow removal. Matt Calderberg and his staff are great. They take care of my family year-round. They can take care of yours, too. My office and home, they cover it all. They're my friends and should be yours as well. Visit them at calderberglandscaping.com.
Welcome back to the big show, coast to coast, border to border, and all those ships at sea. It is USA Takedown, Casper and Bogle with the week off. Danny Bishop at the helm of the mothership. This portion of
happy to be here.
Yeah, Dan. So it's good to see you. This portion of the program brought to you by Mark Cody and his Presbyterian College Blue Hose Wrestling program. Both men and women are setting the standard out there, and I appreciate that. Mark, thank you so very much. And we are on 1350 ESPN. It's always an honor to be on the airwaves with each and every one of you listening. We appreciate that. I try to bring to you every week great guests that have an ability to tell you the story of wrestling and tell the story of mixed martial arts. Our next guest is no different. They call him the General, and he joins us now. This is Ramiko Blackman. Miko, what's going on, buddy?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm super pumped anytime I get a chance to talk to you. You've had an outstanding career in wrestling and then on into mixed martial arts. And Randy Couture said at best your goal is not to get hit in mixed martial arts, but your goal is to compete. And you have been an outstanding competitor. I go back in wrestling to a couple of my favorite matches. One in 2020. Let me go back because I've got it written down here. I'm trying to think. Was it 2021 or 2022 against Ben Askren, both in the Worlds and then of course the U.S. Talk to us a little bit about battling somebody as rangy and as unpredictable as Ben Askren is. It creates a challenge, but I got to believe there's some fun involved too. Yeah.
There is some fun, absolutely, because, like you said, Ben is able to do with his range and just his ability to move. He's able to do a lot of things that most wrestlers aren't able to do, and so that was the fun in that, just applying technique to neutralize and dominate the positions that he could, that we got in.
Ramiko Blackman, our guest. Miko, you look at, and we were just talking with Lou Rosselli. You remember Lou Rosselli now at Oklahoma. And I asked him a question. Can a wrestler or a fighter be too muscular? In other words, at some point, does it become a hindrance because of the stiffness and perhaps lack of flexibility? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, that's a complex question to answer, but what I can tell you is that obviously the fundamentals, muscle does require more oxygen, and so it depends on the lung capacity of the person carrying the muscles. Has his lung capacity been trained, and you can look at, does he know how to use his lungs? Does he know how to use his muscles?
Mm-hmm.
Does he know what type of muscle fiber he has, whether that be fast twitch or slow twitch, because they both do different things and they function in different ways. And so that's a complex answer. But too muscular, yeah, absolutely. I would say a guy who hasn't trained his lungs and carries a lot of muscle, that would be too much muscle for sure.
And the dates I was looking for you and Askren was 2008 and at the U.S. Open. You want to watch something fun? Go to YouTube, the USA Wrestling Channel, and type in Ramiko Blackman. Okay, you're going to find some fantastic video to watch, but also the purity in which Ramiko, in which you wrestle. I just thought, and I've always thought that about you, though. You have a purity in your style that is really incomparable. Tell our listeners now what you're doing in and around the sport.
Well, I coach Blast Double Wrestling Club. It's a local club here in Monument, Colorado. And I also run what we used to call it at risk youth program, but I run Sunbright Ranch. My wife and I are founders to that ranch, and we just service people that we essentially use horsemanship to build confidence in the people that come there, and I guess that come there.
You said horsemanship, and that, my friend, you look good as a cowboy.
Thanks, buddy.
You wear a hat well, and there's something to be said about equestrian arts and the sport of horseback riding. But when you are in tune with your animal, and you see programs around the country, we have one here in Central Iowa where they actually use equestrian horses to help with rehabilitation. But I do believe that what you and your wife are doing is an outstanding effort to help those that surely deserve another chance and a better chance at a great life. And you are the very model of a modern major general. That's all I got to tell you. I don't want to coin a phrase there, but
I appreciate that.
what can people expect, Ramiko, as we make our way through this pandemic? Your thoughts in a minute. Just give me a brief minute of your thoughts on wrestling in today's environment.
Well, wrestling is wrestling. Nothing's going to change that.
Yeah.
And there are high expectations of people to compete in tournaments and to tune into events like that. But the main thing for the athletes is just remain a wrestler. Train when you can. That's the essence of being a wrestler. You use what you got. I'll never forget being a resident at the Olympic Training Center, and we had state-of-the-art facilities there, medical staff. We had everything. I don't know that anyone had more than we had, but then I saw footage of how the Cubans trained, and the Cubans were some of the toughest competitors we have on the planet.
That's right.
In that sport. And so it hit me. We don't need all this. I was grateful to have it all, but it's just, you just train.
There's a beauty in simplicity.
Yeah.
Ramiko, we want everybody to look for you on SureDog, on Tapology, but you can Google search this guy and also look for him on YouTube as well. Ramiko, it's always good to catch up with you. I thank you so very much. Danny, do we have time on the other side of the break?
Sure do.
All right. So, Ramiko, do me a favor. Stand by.
Sure.
We're going to take a quick minute and a half or so break, and back as we wrap up this hour of USA Takedown. Scott Casper with you, Danny Bishop over there. We'll be back after the short timeout. Stay tuned.
Think you've heard everything? Stick around. You ain't heard nothing yet. More USA Takedown after this.
The wrong financial decisions can undermine the best intentions. Whether concerned for your business or your family's financial future, Trent Weatherman will develop a plan, identifying your goals, and set you on the path to financial security. Trent makes plans for people, no matter your goals. Trent has access to top-rated products and services to help you meet them. In April of 2019, NerdWallet identified Northwestern Mutual as the best life insurance company. Northwestern Mutual is in the top 10 U.S. independent investment broker-dealers in the United States. See the difference for yourself at TrentWeatherman.nm.com.
Communities need leaders. The birthplace of Bob Feller, Van Meter, Iowa, has too. Paul Szynski and Jim Sinclair have always been there for their community and for the thing that drives us, wrestling. In a position to help or need a cause to get behind, your neighbors and friends can use a hand. Leaders always come together to help, to plan, and to work to make their communities a better place to live. So special thanks to Jim Sinclair and Paul Szynski, two examples of men who lead. Follow these two professionals on LinkedIn for investment opportunities and more.
Yep, it's still 2020, the year that just won't end. If you need a break, how about this weekend at Wild Rose Casino and Resort? Come play at our house, just across the river in Clinton, Iowa. Slots, tables, great players club perks, and the DraftKings Sportsbook. You don't have to be stuck in this when you could be doing this. Play and stay at Wild Rose Casino and Resort, Clinton, Iowa.
Must be 21 or older. If you or someone you know needs gambling treatment, call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
It's Friday. We're talking wrestling. We're talking mixed martial arts on the big program. Hey, coming up at the end of the show, and then only at the end of the show, and that's because Ramiko's on the show, we're going to be giving away another face gaiter, try to help you. Well, it's a classy face gaiter made by our friends at Barbarian Apparel, and you'll be able to win one. You have to be able to pick it up here at the studios downtown Des Moines, but we do want to let you know we're giving away one each and every Friday, and they're pretty cool. They're designed by our friends at Barbarian Apparel, and so we'll give you the phone number and everything. First caller will win it, but it'll be at the very end of the show.
And you'll really class it up.
Yeah, you class it up.
That's right.
Yeah,
these are good looking.
Yeah, I'm going to need to wear 4 or 5 of them then if you're looking to class it up.
There's like 4 or 5 in the drawer right now. So, yeah, we got to give these away.
Oh, man. Ramiko, is there, when you're on horseback, are you wearing a face mask?
No, I do. No, I do not wear a face mask. when I'm on a horse. No.
You see people driving their cars all by themselves wearing face masks, and I don't know if they're just super comfortable that wearing them or not. But I always scratch my head. It's just you, and you're protecting yourself from your own self. But yeah,
right.
If you have the ability, wear a mask. I'm not going to criticize you for doing that. By God, save yourself, save everybody else. Hey, Jack Gockel has signed with Iowa State University. He's a kid out of Sioux City, and we've marked him as we have you since '72. If you think about it, that's the date you were born. But you think about watching an athlete as they progress. Man, watching your career was nothing short of fantastic. And I just believe it's like I said earlier, a purity in your style and your ability. Who do you credit your career? Maybe there are different people, the early parts of your career to the latter part, but who are some of those you credit?
Well, I've been blessed. I've had, great people throughout my career. In the very beginning, my high school coach, Frank Drake, he just set the mentality for the sport. And so that prepared me for what was ahead, as far as college wrestling goes, and even the world class level. But from there on, I had greats like Steve Lampe, who was one of Gable's teammates way back then.
You bet.
And after that, Willie Gatson. But when I got on the world circuit, probably without a shot of a doubt, Bruce Burnett could break down technique, simplify it like nobody's business. And so I grew tremendously there. And, after that, I had, greats and legends like Kevin Jackson and Mike Duro.
Wow.
A big part of my wrestling career, just the relationship we had. It allowed me to wrestle like I could wrestle. And I still to this day, I haven't experienced anything like that in terms of having a coach, a wrestling coach in my corner.
You bring up a name, Kevin Jackson, and he's due up on this very program in the coming weeks. But we talk about those guys, and the names that you mentioned are all very different, but their end goal is, of course, to win, to make their athletes the best they can possibly be. But the guys like Kevin Jackson, I thought he was going to be a great college coach. I truly did. And I backed his play at Iowa State. And for whatever reason, personalities don't always work out together.
Right.
But Kevin decides to depart. Dresser takes over the program, and the rest, as they say, is history. But you look at Kevin Jackson; he's a much better coach on the international level, or at least in the what we call the Olympic styles, than I think he is at the collegiate style. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, I think you'd have to take a look at, where Kevin really excelled.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't, he's always been a phenomenal athlete, but he wasn't, a superb collegiate athlete. Whereas, you look at his Olympic and world career, he's a two-time world champion and an Olympic champion. And so that says a lot. That says where he put his where he honed his abilities, and his talents, and just sat down and focused. And so that's just where his expertise is. To simplify it, I am a mixed martial artist. I wasn't a Muay Thai kickboxer. So, for me to go in there and stand up, for 3 rounds of 5 minutes with the Muay Thai kickboxer would be silly. I would use my abilities as a wrestler to deal with him.
I don't want to interrupt, but continue on with your thought there, because I think it's fascinating.
Yeah, but yeah, that's just where his expertise are. Can he coach wrestling? Or collegiate wrestling? Absolutely.
Right.
But where is he absolutely the best? That would be the international scene. That would be freestyle wrestling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he travels well.
Yes. That's right, yeah.
All right, I want to give our listeners across the country an opportunity to be a part of the success that you and your wife are enjoying. It's hard work for sure, But, man, it must feel awful good when you lay your head down on the pillow at night knowing that you are affecting the lives of so many in a positive way. How can people be involved with you, your wife, and the ranch?
Oh, they just simply go to our website, www.sunbrideranch.org. That's SONBRIDE ranch.org. And that's the easiest way to get in contact with us. And of course, we have a Facebook page as well with Sunbride Ranch.
Where does the name come from, Sunbride?
Son of God, Bride of Christ.
There it is.
Together.
The strength. Yeah. Ramiko, I respect you, and it's not just your ability on and off, but when it comes to communicating, I appreciate the fact that you always take the high road, and you've been an outstanding guest on the program, and it's always good to catch up with you. My best to your wife and to all those you're coaching.
Thank you.
We'll do it again soon, okay?
At Northwest Tech, Kansas. I'm one of the wrestling coaches out there. And so I know some of those guys are tuned in, so I want to give a shout-out to them.
Do it again, one more time.
We're at. I'm also coaching at Northwest Kansas Tech in Goodland. And so I know some of my guys are tuned in, so I just wanted to give a shout-out.
All right, I just gave him thumbs up on the webcam. How about that? All right. Ramiko, thank you, brother. It's always good to talk to the General.
Thank you, Scott. You have a great day, buddy.
You have a blessed one as well. Thank you so much. Ramiko Blackman, the General, our final guest of the hour, and in his honor, we're going to open up the contest phone lines here at ESPN Radio. You can win the Barbarian USA Takedown Neck Gaiter simply by being the first caller at 515-244-1350. 515-244-1350. All right, Zach Bogle will be back again next week in the show.
KRND Des Moines. The Des Moines Radio Group station, 1350 ESPN. Online at ESPNDesMoines.com and simulcasting on 102.1 FM.
From the ESPN studios at Pier 17 in the Seaport District of New York City, this is Greeny with Mike Greenberg on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, and on ESPN Plus.
Back and better than ever, Greeny with you, presented by Progressive Insurance. My guests on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. It's a football Friday, and it's going to be fabulous. Got a lot to do. Weather's a little nicer outside. Feeling good about that. Legler will join me here in a few minutes. Some big basketball doings. Free agency starts tonight, but there's one very big name out there on the move. We'll get to that. Plus, we'll get the latest on the situation with Klay Thompson from him. Ryan Clark today, Diana Rossini today, David Pollack today. Tons of football, covering it all for you, college and pro from every possible direction. And we start with what I think could be described as the stunning